Hello, everyone. I am Minu, and today I have a guest. Can you guess? No. Her name is Mumtaz, and she is a coach, she is a speaker, she is an author, what not. She will tell you in detail, but let's have a talk, wonderful talk with her.
Hi, Minu.
Mumtaz,
Hello, Minu. How are you?
I'm good. What about you?
I'm great. I'm amazing. I want to thank you for giving this opportunity, and it's such a delight to be here. I hope I'm able to add value.
Yeah, sure. I mean, even I'm very excited to know more about you, and I'm sure our audience will be also excited because you are doing so many things, and it's really wonderful to know you. So, can you give us in detail what do you do exactly?
Sure. So I'm passion wise and for the future wise, I'm writing. I write a lot. So I decided to post my book out as well. So I'm an author. I am a speaker and I'm a coach. I've been in the speaking world for over three years, but I was only speaking for contests and for competitions. But then I realized that that's not what speaking is about. Speaking is about being yourself, and speaking is about actually contributing. So, which is when I moved away and I came into actual profession of speaking. And I'm also a coach, so I love to impact people. And apart from that, I work with JP Morgan Chase, so that's something that I do alongside. Uh, Just something that is with me for a really long time. They're not ready to leave me, let go of me, but I I kind of love doing this, which is talking to people, because this is where I can be myself and I can express myself to the fullest. Because when you go to work, it's just about you as to what is it that you're doing for your family, what is it that you're doing to pay your own bills. And I was tired of that boring life, so I decided to change my passion into a profession. So that's what brings me here.
Wow, so you added more colors in your life so that you won't feel bored. Nice to hear about that. So you have been like that since childhood, or how will you explain your childhood? How was it?
Oh, my childhood, it was a very simple childhood. I was the youngest of the three in my family. So I would always get everything, all the books and the Ren and Martins and everything would come to me after my brother and my sister have used it. So my mother would be like, what's the need? And, the syllabus is the same. So that's how my childhood was. So I was very eager to buy everything of my own as soon as I grew up. And I thought the first thing I'm going to do is get a job and I'm going to buy everything of my own because that belongs to me. And that made me a hoarder later, which I realized I'm not using it. But just to fill in that gap that I had from my childhood, I just started buying that. But I've always been keen towards, people who are successful. So I remember my brother telling me once that, why don't you hang around with people of your age? What's with you? Like you always hanging around with your teachers and you're hanging around with other grown-ups. Why? I I said, I don't know. I just like it. And now when I sit back and I think about it, I realize that it is because I've always liked to be in a mastermind where there are successful people and who've made something out of their lives. So I kept on kind of ignoring that as a silly thing. But when when something keeps on coming back to you again and again, that just means that that's your dream and it's calling to you again and again. So you don't have to ignore it. That's your instinct, right? So that's just who I have been. So I was a very studious child. Like I used to study, and I think I was the only one who my mother would say, "Why are you studying so much?" I've never heard a mother say that. So my mother would complain that she studies way too much. So because I thought at that point, and if I study, I'd be successful. So I completed everything like a structure wise, and I did everything right. But later I realized it's not just about that, and studies never end. So now I've gotten back to studying books, and I love studying that too. So that's just who I am.
Yeah, but my mother, she doesn't say that. Don't study. She never used to say that because I was studious. She had to ask me, sit down and please finish your homework or study or whatever. So I didn't have that kind of childhood in my life. And yes, even I was the youngest one in my family. But yes, even I was too youngest from them. So syllabus had been changed, and mom could not kept those dresses for me. So I had to buy new ones. So I got that opportunity.
Yeah, that's nice. I'm glad your mother didn't meet mine. Otherwise, she'd be complaining about you not studying. Right?
So since childhood, did you had any plan that what you wanted to be?
Yes. So, when I was in seventh grade, I was very fantasized. I was very mesmerized with my sister always winning these elocution competitions and these titles. So I thought, oh, why am I not doing any of that? Because I was not really a sports person. I would just go on the sports day to enjoy with my friends. And I would always hang around only with boys. So they called me more like a tomboy. I was never around girls ever because boys were more fun. They would always be, because girls would be only talking in the corner and boys would be always hanging out and adventurous. So that's why I primarily went on sports days. But I was delighted about how my sister won these awards. So I thought I'll give it a shot one day. And then I remember I was in seventh grade and I gave my name for the elocution competition. These guys called me on the stage and I went up on the stage and I forgot my own name. And I was like frozen, right? I still remember that moment as to what I was wearing. There were about 50 people in the classroom. I was wearing a brown color uniform and everybody else was, there were judges and there were teachers and there were students. And then I just walked off the stage and I remember everyone laughing at me. And I will never forget that day. They were like comments that, oh my God, there she was. She wanted to give a speech and she doesn't even know her name. So for a good 5 years, I didn't after that take up the stage at all because I thought to myself, I don't think I'm any good. I'm going to put my sister down and I'll never speak again because I just don't want to insult anybody and I cannot be a speaker. But luckily, someone very, very close to me who still happens to be in touch with me. And I think she's the only teacher that I am still in touch with. And she pushed me in when I was in like the first year of college, which is after your 11th and the 12th. And that time I gave my name. So my goal was to first I'll go up and I'll give my name. And then I'll also give the topic. And then I kept on progressing. And I kept on doing that over and over again until I started becoming the best speaker. And that trophy is the closest to my heart, not because it's a trophy because someone else has given it to me, but because it's a proof of me having changed my own fate by deciding to take up something which I had given up on. Only because I was continuously telling myself I can't do it, but someone else put that faith in me, and then I started believing myself again. And I knew from that moment that this is it, that this is who I want to be. I always want to be a speaker. I always want to be on the stage, and there's just so much that I can give when I am the one who's standing and the others are listening versus if I'm just doing that. That's why I said, right, I just didn't want to be in a job where you're going and people are just giving you promotion for whatever you're doing towards the business or towards yourself. But I think this is who I always wanted to be. So I just kept on coming back to it again and again, and I thought now it's high time. I realized that this is not just a wish; it's actually who I am. So that's my story.
Feel when you're looking back to that moment when you even forgot your name and now you are a speaker, you speak so fluently, so confidently. How do you feel?
I think it's just me. And I think we shouldn't let one incident define us. Most people make this mistake wherein, and in fact, I have been guilty of that. And that's how I can say it, right? That we generalize one situation and we take away our own opportunities. And there's so much criticism that we give to our own self that we take away all the future chances of me doing it again. And that's where I'm very impressed with Thomas Edison's story because he made over 9,000 some attempts to even create a light bulb. And imagine if you would have given up on the first, like I gave up on the first attempt of going on the stage. And there are so many people who probably are listening to it, or I'm not sure, who are reading it, but they just give up on themselves because they're not able to do something on first attempt. So I think there are so many more things that I would have probably done and I've stopped. So what if I go back and I start making attempts on the same thing again and again and again? What would I become? And I think we should all give that opportunity to ourselves instead of judging ourselves that, oh, I didn't do it, so let me just give up. Because everybody wants to be the best. Nobody wants to understand that they got to make mistakes because they got to keep trying. Because if they don't make mistakes, which means they're not trying, they're too safe. And that's just something which I realize. And every time I do this now, I don't think that I'm doing something unique. I just think I'm expressing, and that's everyone's right. And everyone should get that right. So it just makes me happy that I'm able to use an idea and it's using me to the fullest. Because what if I didn't do that? What if I still was sitting with that code in my head that, I can't speak and I'm going to embarrass my family? So I just feel happy about trying, and I feel happy about making it a success.
Right, you rightly mentioned about Thomas Edison, because we don't have so much patience to go for 10,000 attempts. Even as you said that even on first attempt we just give up, but 10,000 attempt is really commendable. And yes, if we learn something, and what he said, that he never said that I failed for 10,000 times. He said that I learned what mistakes I have done for 10,000 times.
So he actually said that, right? You're right. He said that I have learned how you cannot make a light bulb in so many attempts and how you can make it in this way. So he's found out so many methods of not creating a light bulb. And that's just about perception, right? And that's so beautiful. Like the way we look at something is a perception. And if we start thinking low about ourselves, it's high time that we go to someone who believes in us and who has a better perception about us versus we carrying that same, because it is just a perception. That's not you. But if you keep on installing it in your head, then it will become you. Because, I'm a big fan of how we think and how we end up becoming what we think, because that's the truth, right? So I'm just inspired on how amazing it is that we can control our thoughts, and that is what we can make. That's how we can make our own reality. And it's bad that, it's not being taught in schools. It's bad that it's not being taught in colleges. Because and I consider myself to be fortunate amongst a mastermind who is teaching me all of that, and because of which I'm able to spend time doing all of that. There are so many people out there who don't get to do that at all. Like they just conform to the societal norms, and they go to college, they go to school, they go to a job, they get married, they get kids, then their kids do the same. And I mean, you're not going to just do that. Yeah, you just not. And then one day you're dead and gone. So who even knows that you were existing in the world? So that thought kind of scares me that, if I'm gone and nobody knows me, what? So that's so exciting and nervous at the same time. Like, how can you live like that?
Yeah, you said it right. So now I'm just curious to know that what kind of challenges have you faced in your life? Did you face any challenges, or how was that?
No, plenty within my own self, not really around the surroundings. So the first challenge that I faced was convincing myself and my family members that I really want to take this up as a profession, because I wanted to start this long back. But, unfortunately, you have people around you who are the closest. They think that they need to keep you safe and secure so much that they unfortunately end up taking away a lot of your, talents, and they take away a lot of your opportunities unknowingly. That's because they think you need to do this, and this is how you'll be successful. So their definition of success is predetermined based on what they've seen in the society. So if I was to start in the speaking industry way before what I have started now, I would have been in a different place altogether. So the biggest challenge that I've faced is convincing my family that this is it and this is what I want, not just this that I'm doing. Because career-wise, not that I've struggled, that I couldn't do my job well. I've had a very straight line in career, which has always been upward, because I do things the way they, that's supposed to be done. I never waste my time arguing over it. So I've been a great student throughout, and I've been a great leader throughout. So that's been great. But convincing that, and when I realized that this is it and I don't need to convince anymore, because I was married and I had own kid of my own, and then nobody cares, right? What decision you take. And they knew pretty much that she's not going to stop, and she keeps on coming back to it over and over again. So that was the challenge, because, if I had to really deal with some failures, or if I had to really deal with lack of opportunities, that would have been faster. But the time that is lost never comes back. So I feel that that was like the biggest challenge, that is the time taken away from me, which I can never get back. If you don't have resources, it's fine. If you don't have money, you're going to get access to money. It's fine. It doesn't matter. If you don't have people, you're going to get access to people. It's fine. But what if you lose the time? You're never going to get it back. So nevertheless, I accepted that and I moved on. So that was a bigger challenge. But yes, at work, I remember there was this one thing that I dealt with, which is me being me, which is doing things right and making sure that everything is done in the right way. Not everybody around me was comfortable with that, because not everybody really wants to, make sure that they are doing things the way they are supposed to be doing. They want to be a rebel and they want to always break the rules, kind of. So that was when I got promoted as a leader. That was like a big challenge that I faced, and that's what I write in my book, as to how I was a horrible leader in the first 1 year, when I was more like a teacher. You have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. If you don't do this, you're going to face the repercussions. And that was a big bummer, and that's something that I went through. And then I took an entire 1 year to hone myself as a leader. And then I sit back to myself, okay, I don't have to blame myself, because nobody really, they promoted me as a leader, but they didn't really teach me how to be a leader. They just thought that she's good for the next role without even actually teaching me the soft skill of a leader. And that's where I started doing my research on how, what is a good leader like. And that's when I understood that a good leader is someone who's not going to judge and who's not going to show the carrotistic approach, because that will work once or twice. That won't really work all the time. So how to be a leader where people do it out of the love and not do it out of the title or authority. So that's something that I learned big time.
Yeah, leader who leads, who is not dictator, or who are not manager. There is difference between managers and leader and dictator.
100%. I was a manager the first time. Then I understood nobody wants to be managed. You manage things, you don't manage people, because people have a brain of their own. And that's not just the way they're going to be, respecting you for who you are. You got to convert into being a leader. So that transition was a great learning. It was great.
Mm-hmm. So as you already said about your fear of public speaking, you wanted to speak, but when you said you went to the stage and you forgot your name even. So what kind of fear do you have right now?
Right now, as we're speaking right now, I have no fear, because one, it's just very comfortable. It's me now. But yes, if someone comes and tells you that every time I go on stage I'm fearless, that's a lie. Because one, this is Zoom, and we are pretty much comfortable with Zoom. Over the last 2 years, we've been living, breathing Zoom. So I'm very comfortable with the whole thing online. But every time you go on stage, yes, it's nerve-wracking a little bit. Like the last time I was on stage and there were like 200 people in front of me, and Arfin was next to me, and I was like, oh my God, Arfin is going to observe me and he's going to watch what I'm going to talk about, because I've had the great opportunity of being with him on the stage. And I was scared. I was scared inside of my heart. But the difference between the fear then and the fear now is, the fear then that stops you in the initial phases is about how you're going to look, how are you going to say this, what if people criticize you, what if people don't like what you're saying, what if, and that what if is all about you.
Yeah,
right? It's all pointing towards you. But now the fear that comes is about, what if I am not able to make a proper impact? What if I'm not able to say this right? What if I'm not able to answer the right questions? So when your intention changes from yourself to outside, the going gets very easy. Because when you are actually thinking about everything about how you are going to look like on the stage, how you are going to perform on the stage, what your presentation is going to look like, it gets very difficult. But when you actually sit back and you start thinking about it, doesn't matter who you look like, it doesn't matter how you are going to say it. When your focus shifts from you to someone else, the transition becomes very easy and the performance gets even better, because it's not about you. And for God's sake, you're not a speaker for yourself. You're a speaker because you are there to give the audience. People are listening to you. They are spending the time with you because they are expecting value from you. And that is why being a speaker is not about being me. Being a speaker is about what am I going to bring back to the audience and what is the best that they can take back. Even if they take 1 point of the 50-minute speech that I give, if that's going to change their life, then I am successful as a speaker. So when the entire focus shifts from why you want to do that versus why you should really do that, the entire concept of fear becomes a little lightheaded and it's easier to deal with it. So the fear is always there because that's normal. It's just that the way you manage it, it becomes very, very easy. So first it is like, oh my God, I'm going to break down. And then it is like, it's not going to kill me anyway. Because they say, right, the second biggest fear in the world is the fear of public speaking. And I don't think that it's going to kill me anymore and I'm going to be dropping dead on the stage. It's just, yeah, it's fine. And then when you start speaking, you just follow your gut and then that's about it.
Yeah, you rightly said about Zoom and physical, because on Zoom we all are comfortable because of these 2 years. We are so habituated of Zoom and online platforms that I think 1 month back, I had to visit a place and I had to go on a stage. I had to go on stage for 3 times. And first time I went and there was around 75 people and my legs were shaking. And whenever I was speaking and back in my mind, I was thinking that please don't look at my legs. It's shaking. I know, please don't look at it. And third time when I went, I was too confident that I was interacting with them. So I felt that, being in physical meeting and on stage and being on Zoom is really different. And yes, public speaking is all about your confidence talking in public, not only on Zoom. So yeah, we all are. So actually, my sister-in-law has also come for 2 weeks, and we have right here.
You should have told me no today. We would have done it at some other time.
I don't know. Let it be. If we finish. We will keep postponing it. Then again,
yeah, that is true.
So I thought, let's do it. Yes. So as we were talking about, you're doing so many things right now in your life. Like you have written already book, you are coaching, you are doing public speaking things. You must be getting public speaking engagements. And although you are working for a corporate, so how do you manage your work? Even you would be having household work. So how do you manage?
So I learned this very early that you don't manage time, you manage the activities. Because you cannot manage time. What's there to manage? Everyone's got 24 hours. You got 24 hours. I've got 24 hours. Elon Musk has got 24 hours. Bill Gates has got 24 hours. Why is it that, I can sit down and complain about, oh my God, I have only 6 hours left, or no, I have only 4 hours left, or 3 hours left. It's not about how many hours you've left. It's about what you do in those hours that you left that matters really a lot. And when I learned this, then I was able to spend more and more time effectively versus just spending longer hours and sitting and whining about what I can't do and how much less time I have and how I have a house and I have a kid. Well, the kid is going to grow up, become what you are going to show them. If you're complaining about time, then he or she is going to become that way. You don't really want that kind of an influence on your child, especially when they're like 3, 4, 5, and mine is a 5.5. So that's like the age where they're going to be influenced by observing and not by you teaching them to do something and giving a lecture. So they are very good observants of what you do versus what you say. And that was also something that I understood in the growing up her time. And I thought, okay, I don't want to really do wrong things and wrong actions because she's going to pick that up really easy. And now she actually comes back, and so she's my inspiration. So even every time you sit down and you say that okay, I need to breathe a little. She said, no, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. So she knows my whole schedule and she knows that I have to do this next and I have to do that next. So although you've got to work on 5 days of the week, you still have 2 days. And 2 days is like 48 hours. You don't really have to sleep 12, 13, 14 hours. You just need like 6, 7, 8 hours. That's it. And the rest of the time you got to do what you got to do. So plan the 5 days in a way that you are able to remove at least 1 hour. Because Minu Zig Ziglar said this, and I heard this when I was a child, and this stayed with me for, I think it's going to go with me to grave. He says that if you spend 1 hour doing what you really love to do, in 5 years, you're going to become a national expert.
Right.
So although I heard it, I didn't really implement it because we hear everything, but we don't really take and put it into action. So now I think, okay, now I didn't spend 1 hour, but what if I spend 2.5 hours? That will become 2.5 years, right? So I am kind of trying to reduce that time gap, and you use those 2-3 hours in a day of your 5 week work schedule, so that your Saturday and Sunday is already predetermined and your weekend already goes the way you like to do it. So you got to manage your hustle in a way that eventually your hustle becomes a profession. So that's how I'm doing it. And if you love something that you do and you don't have any dogs behind you, then you're just going to run really, really fast. But we all have this fear of, what if I fail? What if I look bad? What if this does not work? What if I don't get the money? What if I have to take loans? So we waste our energy focusing too much on the things that are not really, that is a possibility that may happen. But you forget about the other 50% of the possibility, which is, what if it works? What if you succeed? What if this really is going to make you wealthy? What if this really is going to, make you successful? So what about that 50%? So you can't just live your life on a bet of a possibility of failure, which is a big, big, big reason why people don't try. And I didn't want that to be the reason of when I become 60 years old and I'm sitting on a chair, I'm thinking, I wish I had tried this. So I am going to try everything possible in whatever hours I have and make sure there's something fruitful comes out of it. Because if I try, at least there's a chance. If I don't, then definitely there's no chance.
Right. If you try, then there is chances of failure or success. But if you don't try, it's completely failure only. So we have to try. So whatever you are doing right now as a coach, as a mentor, as a speaker, as an employee also. So do you get support from your family?
Yes, I get plenty of support. I'm blessed. I have a husband who's like, he knows that I love this. And if he gets in the way of doing, something that I love, then he realizes it's not really going to work out well for both of us. So he takes care of all of those things. And my daughter, because she's seen all of these, she's a part of this, right? Like, so she'll be there in most of my engagements. She'll be there in most of my meetings. She'll be there on most of the times on Zoom. So she's just a part of it now. And she actually says that she wants to become a coach when she's 7 years old. And I was like, okay, we don't want to become what I want you to become. You become what you want to become. She said, no, I want to become a coach. So I was like, okay, cool. So it's pretty easy to manage because you first plan it in your head and then you bring it into the physical form. So I thought that this is how it should be when I started it 2 years ago. And when in coaching, I got nearly like almost a year back, which is in July, it will be a year. And in my head, I had picturized this whole thing should look like this. And because I had visualized it that way, is why it's turning into physical form. And because I wanted it so bad. So I'm getting all the support I need because you create it that way.
Wow, that's really nice that you are getting support from your family. So what do you think? Your life is going ahead as expected as you or how it is?
Oh, no, nowhere close to that, Minu. Nowhere close to that. I would, if my life was going exactly the way I would have planned it, then I would be only doing this 24/7. But as of now, I'm not doing this 24/7 because I also realized that this is the result of what I have done in the last few months and last few years. So but the good news is that I'm learning and growing and going closer towards what I want it to be versus just sitting on it and not doing anything at all. Because right now my life is the way it is because I took some decisions, I couldn't take some decisions, and some things worked and some things didn't work. But now when you keep on trying and you keep on trying to put the puzzle together, eventually you get a frame in mind, and then finally you're able to put it together. So yes, I think in the next couple of years, it will be exactly how I want it to be. The good news is that we are going towards it. So what if it is not right now? So, there's that possibility that it will happen is my biggest inspiration. That, you just you don't root for something when it definitely is going to be a success. You root for something even when there is the slightest possibility of it might happen.
Yes. Yeah, you are on the way. Great. So, what's your favorite quote or mantra of life?
There are many. I don't know which one to use right now, but the one thing that I really love is be so good that you cannot be ignored. Right? That you got to be so good that you just cannot be ignored. A lot of people complain that I don't get opportunities at work, and this person is getting an edge over me because he or she is his favorite, and he or she is not a woman, or he or she is a woman, and we've heard all of that in corporate. And I spent 13
Yes.
years, hearing all that. Good news is I didn't listen to it, because you hear and you just let go of it, and you listen to only what you really want your higher faculties to listen to. So I heard this and I really listened to this lady. She's one of my very big leaders. Her name is Gitanjali Shetty, and I really love her for what she is. She once told us that, stop complaining about the things that don't really work around you, but be so good that you cannot be ignored. And I was like, wow, that's something. And I didn't write it anywhere. I didn't frame it anywhere, but it's inside of me. So that's just so beautiful. But, if you are so good, then you just don't have to tell, you just have to show. And if it continues to show up regularly, how much will someone ignore it? Whether this happens at workplace, or whether this happens on social media, whether this happens in real life, whether this happens in family.
Absolutely.
As long as you are someone who's you're doing things the right way, and you're doing the right things, the combination of both, and you're persistent, you're just going to prove who you are.
Absolutely right. So what inspires you to do what you do?
As I said, the possibility of a better future. Because to me, I am not someone who just wants to go away from this earth by just my family crying over me. I love the fact that there would be thousands of people where I'm gone, and that inspires me. And I had once heard a story. I think Will Smith was saying this story, that you will once die, and when you're dying on your grave, you're going to see like 1,000 people, thousands of things coming in front of you and saying to you, shouting out loud that I was inside of you, but I didn't get used because you didn't use me. And that will be your will, that will be your determination, that will be your talent, and all of that is going to die. So they will actually be complaining to you at that time that, I'm going to die with you because you didn't use me. So that's exciting, and that's nervous again, right? Like, oh my God, that's such a deep thought that, if you don't do this now, then when will you do it? Because you only get one bite at the apple.
Yeah, you rightly said that it depends, or it inspires us more that what people will say when we are not around or we are dead, because we should be remembered with the good things we have done till our lifetime. So I just wanted to ask you that what are your areas of interest? What do you love to do, like whenever you get free time?
Free time goes. I like to, sit down and play blocks with her to see how she's able to create different things out of a Lego, and like to draw with her. So that's where my free time goes. But other than that, what I love to do is more and more studying of how a human mind is limitless, right? So I'm very keen towards clinical hypnosis, and that's something that I'm going to probably take up next. Like, I love the whole whole possibility of how human beings don't have to go through really diseases and painful processes of chemicals in their body and sicknesses when your body is just a servant of your mind. because we don't realize this. But I've recently studied a stick concept which I love, and I owe it to Bob Proctor. That if it was like a live place, I would have drawn and I would have showed it to you. But I'm going to just kind of sum it up that your brain is divided into two parts, which is your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. And when you're a child, your subconscious mind is completely open, and that's why we say, hey, don't say this, otherwise she'll register it. Don't fight, otherwise she'll come up with fear. Don't say this, otherwise they'll probably get fevers. That's because they don't have the conscious mind to allow or to stop things that they don't want it to go inside their subconscious mind. And that technically is the driver of all of your behavior. We don't realize this, but that's the truth. And what happens when we grow up? We know learning from the age of 7, but we don't really read at all. We don't read, right? An average CEO reads like 40 to 50 books a year. And when I had heard this, I was like, what? I'm not even reading 4 or 5 books a year. And I said, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. And that's when I made a goal. I said, I'm not going to shop anymore for clothes. I'm going to shop for books. So that was my new target. I said, I'm going to have like a 200, 300 book library. And when, my goal is going to be not to make it. And I heard something recently. It said, is it going to be self-help or is it going to be self-help? So Lisa Nichols says this, right? That, are your books there on the shelf to help the shelf, or are there self-help books to help you? So that's my area of interest. Like I always am reading and I'm always listening. So much so that my friends sometimes at work tell me that, can you get some fun in you? I said, this is my fun. Like, this is what makes me happy. So that's my fun. Yeah.
Okay. So it's so interesting that you love reading book and even you spend little time with your little one. Yeah. So I want to know that as you see your life and colors, that we have different colors in general. So which color do you symbolize to your life?
White. I love white. I don't know why, but I'm just so fascinated with white because when it comes to clothing, it's going to go on anything and still going to look classy, right? You're going to still look rich and super rich and you don't have to worry about what I'm going to wear next. So I love white that way. And why? Because it doesn't judge you. It will just take on anything that comes. But at the same time, you've got to be careful on what you put on it, because if you put the wrong color on it, then it's going to ruin you. That's just a symbolization of how our brain works as well. That if you just don't reject anything that is not right for you, which means you're allowing it to go into your head, and that's going to direct your future. So I'm just so fascinated about white, and I don't know what's with white, but I love white.
And which color do you think symbolize a woman's life?
Never thought of it that way, but I think all women like pink. So maybe that's something that I'm not sure if there's a good right or wrong answer to that, but I don't know what a woman's life color is. I think your life is going to be what you make of it. No color outside or inside of you can judge that. So I didn't differentiate ever about a man color or a woman color. But generally, I've seen all the kids liking pink. My daughter's also all crazy about pink. So I don't know if that's the color of the women.
But I think, that since childhood, when they are born, we give preference to colors that, oh, she's a girl. Let's
pink. Yeah, that's true.
Not blue. Why don't I don't know why, but
yeah.
Childhood, we are showing them, oh, this is the color for you. Pink, not blue. Blue is for boys. Yeah. So I think that's why since childhood, girls are thinking like that. Okay, pink is my.
That is true. When my daughter was born, I had a tag with pink on it, and because I had a girl baby, so I was like, oh, okay. And then my daughter always grew up thinking, I'm not going to wear a blue t-shirt because that's for boys. I said, that's not for boys. That's just a color, and colors are for everybody. And when my husband was wearing a pink shirt once, he said, oh, my daddy is wearing a pink shirt. I said, so what? It's a girl color. I said, there's no girl color in it. It's just a color.
Yeah. So that's what I think, that since childhood, we have taught them that this is the color of girls. And that's why. Okay. Right. Okay. So we have spoken about so many things till now, that since your life and your thoughts and everything. So according to you, what is an ideal life?
An ideal life is a life where you have your body, your soul, and your mind all being fully used and being in harmony. It cannot be one without the other. Like, sometimes we put a lot of preference on about sit-up trainers, right? They say, okay, let me just go to the gym and take care of my body, which is cool, but what about your mind? Right? And that's actually going to drive the whole behavior. And it was so surprising for me to see that a lot of people who are very healthy during COVID, they just gone. Like really healthy people, whether it was in Bollywood or in general life in my local area. I heard of so many people who were doing great in their physique, but they were gone. That's because this ease is something that does not cause any ease in you. People just connotate that with a sickness which a doctor has determined. But people don't look into the cause, they always treat the symptoms. And that's where the problem lies. So, you know, a combination of your life being in harmony with your body, mind, and soul is an ideal life, which means you don't have to give up one for the other. Like if you cannot earn money, don't for God's sake say that, money is not important and, only greedy people want money. That's a load of crap. I'm sorry to say, but with that in reality, you cannot live your life fullest unless you have riches, unless you are rich, because otherwise you're going to always be cutting down corners and your children are going to see that. And that's where your soul somewhere knows that you are not happy. You're compromising one for the other. So don't earn money, for the sake of showing off to people, but to live your life to the fullest. Because if you have enough is the time you can give others. If you don't have, then how will you give? And the same goes for knowledge and the same goes for your health. If you don't take care of your health enough, then how are you going to take care of your kids? Like most mothers I see, including myself in the early years, I've been guilty of this, that, you, as soon as a new child is born, you forget all about yourself and you focus so much on the child. And then you say, oh, I'm going to postpartum depression. I said, of course you're going to go through postpartum depression because you've forgotten all about yourself. You don't have to feel guilty for leaving your child at your in your in-laws or somewhere or with your husband and just going out doing nothing. Right? So you've got to take care of your mind, your body, and your soul. That's an ideal life. You cannot go one without the other. And at the same time, you don't have to go so crazy earning money that you forget about your personal life. So you've got to be able to find that equilibrium, which is where you don't compromise on either and keep on working for it until you have that balance.
Right. If you don't have the thing you want to give, how will you give? If you don't have money, you won't be able to give. If you don't have happiness, you won't be able to give happiness to someone else. If you don't love someone, if you don't love yourself, you won't be able to give love to someone else.
Yeah. And have you ever noticed, Minu, that only hurt people will hurt others? Right. Only people who are angry with themselves or with their family, only people who are sad with themselves or in their family are going to spread that. Because that's going to be their energy, that's going to display in their conversations, that's going to display in their behaviors, that's what they're going to express all the time. But only happy people are going to express happiness. And only the ones who don't really have money most of the times and don't want to take efforts to earn that end up making the statement that, oh, money cannot buy everything. And then I laugh on it because money cannot buy everything, but it can buy you things that make you happy.
Right?
And the ones who really have a lot of it never say that, oh, I don't need money. They don't say that because you don't have it. That's why you just think that the great stars are. So work for it. And I think that's where you will get a balance.
Yeah, I completely agree about that. And money part, I completely agree. Because I also believe that money is the thing that you should earn. And it's not being greedy or anything. Yes, if you are not doing any unethical things or illegal things, otherwise it's really good to have enough money because it will give you happiness. It will not give you directly happiness, but it will give you a stream or way to buy happiness in something like you're giving a gift to someone that they like. And because of their smile or their happiness, you will feel happiness. But how will you give that gift to them if you don't have money?
Right. Money buys us freedom.
Yeah.
most people don't really want to be wealthy to death and have their bank accounts overflowing. Most people who are ambitious only do that because they want freedom. And money gets you that freedom, that freedom of spending, that freedom of not looking at the price tag when you buy something, the freedom of not looking on the right side of the menu when you are going to a restaurant, that freedom of not choosing, okay, which is the affordable place for a vacation. I mean, how is that even a vacation if you're really compromising on the place also that you're staying? So that freedom only comes with money. So even if you don't want it, just throw it away to someone else who needs it, but earn it for God's sake. And don't say that it's a waste and it is being greedy and bad people want money. We say all these things, our kids hear all of this, and then it just, they don't realize it, but they grow up with it thinking all of this.
Right. It's indoctrination since childhood. We are. So, as I just said that childhood, and also I just have a question about that. What's the one first memory you can recall from your childhood?
There are a couple with my brother, because me and my brother had a great tag team when we were small. We fought a lot, and that's where the fun was. I think the childhood memory that I have with him was, when he would be going to work and I was still studying in college, in the early first year of college. And so he would always come back, and I would look forward to he coming back home in the night. And he would, at that time, pizzas in India were a new concept. So this is like about 10, 12 years back, right? It was not so common as it was now. And the joy of sharing that pizza with him is the best memory that I have of childhood. That's what I remember. Because now we can buy all the pizzas that we have, but I've never been able to have that same taste. I've never been able to have that same fun which I had with him, because then I realized that it is not the pizza, it was the moment that we had together. And it was that priceless time and experience that we experienced together, which I think is priceless to me.
Right. So how do you de-stress yourself after a hectic day?
I listen to music. I listen to that, and I'm starting to do a lot of deep breathing, because you were asking for challenges, and I think I forgot about it. And it's funny that I even forgot about it, because that means it's not affecting me as bad. I was in therapy last year, and it was a really bad phase of my life where I was going through anxiety attacks and panic attacks. And I later found out that panic attacks last only for 10-15 minutes, but anxiety attacks last for night long. And that is what I was experiencing. And I said, oh, okay, that's what happened to me at that time. So I was in therapy, and all of that happened to me. So from that time, I have gotten into the habit of doing a lot of deep breathing and listening to music a lot when I am really stressed. And yeah, I just go back to writing a lot. So that's where I developed this habit of even journaling. So the moment I feel that I'm feeling a little stressed and something is making me anxious, I just write. Whatever comes to my mind.
Great. That's a really good idea, to journal whatever thoughts come to your mind, because then you don't actually, whenever you share something or share your anxiety or whatever stress you have with someone, you feel a little relaxed. If no one is around you, journaling is the best idea to just forget about your stress.
100%. Yeah. So my bags to office are usually heavier than, I don't carry any food and all, but I have like diaries and I have books, and they're like, what are you coming to college? I said, oh, this is just, I love it. I can't travel without my book.
So did you had to suppress any of your talent due to any circumstances or situation?
Suppress a talent due to a situation? No, I've never had that experience, because I've been a rebel. I got to do what I got to do. So and my parents learned that very early when I was small. They said she's not going to stop. So there's no point of fighting over it and arguing it. So they just let me express.
Okay, that's really great. So as we are knowing you more and more, so would you like to tell us that, are you a glass full kind of person or glass half empty type of person? How do
I
you?
used to think all of this when I was in my college, that you should think positive and you should look at the glass full and you should look at the glass empty. But now I think both. I think that okay, it's a glass and it's half of water and half of no water. So how do I fill it up? Which means if there are certain things inside of me which are not really good, then how do I make myself more aware of it? And being more aware of it will make the glass full, because if you don't know what's missing in you, then how are you going to fill it up? And most people don't take the time out to understand themselves. In fact, not most. 90% of the population, I feel, thinks that knowing about yourself and discovering yourself is a waste of time. Let me just go to job instead. Let me just do the housework instead. Let me just give this to the kids instead. But you are your biggest asset and you're going to be your biggest enemy if you don't focus on yourself. So I think now I look at it both, because just say if it is empty, then why is it empty? Then I get into that mode of figuring out how do I fill it up.
So that you see in a positive way, that how you can improve, how
Yes.
you do it. Because most of the people will see that it's half empty. They saw it in a negative way, that okay, we have only half glass of water. So it's
No, I've never thought that way.
different perspective.
I would rather be grateful that I at least have that half glass, but don't be satisfied with it.
Right. So as you are talking about so much of positivity, and I'm sure people will take inspiration from you as well. So who would you consider as your hero or your role model?
I don't want to sound dramatic or Bollywood or filmy, but I really love Shah Rukh Khan's life journey. He really is not someone who's just a hero in the movies. He really has a hero. I'm inspired by the fact that he was someone whom even actresses won't want to work with, and they would laugh him out. And he was thrown out so many times because of his hairstyle and because of his nose, that he's become what he's become. So I think there's quite a few people who inspire me a lot. But this guy in particular is someone whom I always. So even when I'm listening sometimes to videos, I listen to, because he was recently awarded an honors degree of being a doctor by an international college. So I'm like, wow, how can someone who nobody knows, has no, they say that, oh, he doesn't have a history of, he would have some influence. He has he's from the Kapoor family and he's not from this family. But if he can do it, then so can I. So that's kind of inspires me. And then other than that, again, my daughter, she inspires me a lot, because I've seen her trying to, twist when she was a child, and how many times she was trying to twist and she was trying to flip, but she didn't give up. And then one fine day she flips, and we're all like, wow, mama, my daughter just flipped today. She's turned, and then she started walking. So when she started walking, she tried to, kind of stand on her knees so many times, balance, that won't happen. So she would try it again, and then she would try it again and again and again and again. And I was like, oh my God, imagine if we only just take this lesson from these kids and we put it in our life.
Yes, even Shah Rukh Khan is my role model as well. So if you were able to gain the ability to see the future, would you like to seize the opportunity, or you will just leave it like that, just suspense, or how?
No, I think I wouldn't want to say that, because then where is all the fun? Because then that this is how your journey is going to look like. So I'll just stay away from that, and I'll be unknown to that.
Yeah, so you welcome uncertainty in your life so that you can have fun.
No, I won't welcome uncertainty, but I would rather experience the whole creation process of my future, because when we always say that I want to see how the future for me looks like, I also kind of I'm not in sync with this whole statement, because you create your own future, right? You first, so, I'm a very big, another person who inspires me so much, who's unfortunately no more, is Bob Proctor. Like, I love his work and I'm just crazy about his material. He said that, one big person really said that I first paint my dream in my head. And then I dream, and first I dream my painting, and then I put my painting on the paper, which means that's just how your life is. You've got to create it in your head first. And which means you've got to have a goal, which means you've got to have an outcome in place, which has to be clear. And if that's not clear, then you're going to be wondering, and that's where the whole future thing would come. And I don't want that, because I know in my head, if there's clarity, and if there's clarity, then you know what it's going to look like. You just got to enjoy the process of who you'll become in the meanwhile.
Yeah, even if you have bad days, you will have importance of good days because you have bad days. So it's really wonderful thought. So that comes to the next question. Are you a religious person or a spiritual person?
I'm a spiritual person. I'm not really so much into my religion, and my mom is going to kill me for that, but she knows that I'm more of a spiritual person. I believe in instincts. I believe in guts. I believe in hunches. I believe in that there is God everywhere. It doesn't have to be really sitting in one place and praying for it. There has to be faith, and that's omnipresent. So I'm spiritual.
And what I believe that when you are a spiritual person and you believe in humanity, you will do good things, and that is all about our religion. They all teach us whatever it is, maybe Christianity, Hinduism, or Muslim. All are talking about Islam is talking about same thing. They are talking about humanity, and we just manipulate and we try to do things in our own, and we forget the essence of that religion. Yeah. So,
and if we just start focusing on contribution, then the religious aspect will be a fulfillment as a byproduct. You don't really have to always wear it on your sleeves and roam.
So, as we were talking about, we have spoken about so many things here, like your area of interest, your hobby, what you like to do since your childhood. You wanted to be a speaker and everything. I would like to know that how much do you value communication in a relationship?
A lot. As a speaker and as a human being, there is no conversation, there is no clarity without communication. And one of the biggest misses that any relationship has, whether it's a brother and a sister, or whether it is a elder or a younger sibling, whether it's a parent or a child, or whether it's a spouse, or whether it's a partner, or whether it is from a mentor to a mentee or anything, it's a communication gap. Right? That's one of the biggest failures that any relationship can have, which is not talking, and even if you're talking, then you're just being monosyllable, or you're just talking as much as needed. That's not communication. So communication is of prime importance to me. Like I love everything in and out about communication. I just love it.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. Communication is essence of every relationship, everywhere. So, according to your view, is society fair to women?
Well, I've never personally experienced any such incident where anyone has been unfair to me. I just think everything is, Minu. Whether it is fair or unfair is the perception and the connotation that we give to it. If we just accept things the way I'm not saying accept unfair. I'm just saying that society is society. Now, whether it is giving a fair possibility or an unfair possibility, completely subjective to the experience that people have in themselves. As in the journey that you have, if you have certain incidences, and again, if you've had those instances, what meanings have you given to those instances? Have you hidden behind the umbrella saying that, oh my God, I was not given this opportunity because I was a woman? Yes, I'm not saying that doesn't happen at all. It does happen, and I want to definitely make a mention of that. It does happen, but we cannot be living our entire life only by making that one statement that I'm not going to do anything because society is unfair to women. I'm not going to get this chance because society is unfair to women. Especially in my business and in our business for that matter. I know you're a speaker and a coach too. We always believe in contributing so much, and we have so many women coaches. Right. We have so many women coaches around. Right? We have Oprah Winfrey, who is a woman. We have Mel Robbins, who's a woman. And we have so many. We have Dana Pager, who's like one of the biggest clinical hypnotherapists. So then where are you headed to, right? Because if you are not using the opportunities that are coming your way or even making those opportunities for yourself, then I think we are not utilizing the resources to the fullest. Because there will always be good sides of the things and bad sides of the things. That cannot be one or without the other. But you have a choice to move out, right? You always have a choice. If you're saying, okay, I'm not giving enough, then move out. Who's stopping you? So Jim Rohn once said, right, that if you don't like your address, change it. You're not a tree. So if you can create someone else as another human being inside of you, imagine how powerful you are as a woman. Then how can you not just change your environment, which you think is unfair to you? If it is unfair to you, and if you have enough evidence, move out of it. But don't let that be like a rock solid statement that stops your growth for the rest of your life by making it like a permanent situation. Nothing becomes a permanent condition unless you let it be.
Absolutely right. So what would you like to say to other women out there?
I'd like to say to all the women out there that you don't know who you are. Like you have no idea of how strong you are until you use your strength. Like I just said in the preceding conversation, right? But you have the possibility, you have the ability to create another human being inside of you. And now after becoming a mother, I know it's no joke, right? You're actually giving away blood, your muscle, your fats, your vitamins to that child, and then going through that entire process of childbirth, and then you bringing that child up is another challenge altogether. And how on earth and why on earth are you not being the best of your ability that you can be? In fact, I think women are the strongest creation of God. They are. They really are. Even if you look at the statistics, you see most men get heart attacks, most women don't. There is a percentage difference in that, right? There are so many more. And just because men don't express, they also go through so much more depression versus women. Like I was in anxiety, I was in therapy. I came out of it in 3 months. And I didn't know that after 3 months of coming out of it, I'm going to write a book. I haven't heard of anybody having written a book and published it in 3 months of coming out of the therapy. So, and I always am intrigued, and I'm always pushing women who are in touch with me, who trying to tell us that they have this not an appropriate environment with their in-laws, not an appropriate environment with their husband. And I'm always like, why are you putting up with it? You always have a choice to not put up with it. To stop conforming to what the society will think, because for God's sake, it's 2022. Nobody even cares what's happening next door. And if you're going to rely on living your life basis why your opinion, your society's opinion about you should be good, then good luck being happy.
And even society bothers about what you do. I don't know if that matters a lot, because if you are in pain, they are not gonna do anything about you.
Yes, why take up
bring
the
your
patient?
Children. You have to do it. You have to suffer whatever family trauma you are suffering. You have to suffer.
Yes, I've heard so many cases, unfortunately. When I was studying in my college, I know so many girls who got married and then after that, unfortunately, their husbands beat up. And there are so many, these are very domestic violence and all of that. And I'm like, why put up? And I just like, why? Give me one good reason to say, oh, my parents told me that you got to live with it and put up with it. I said,
forget it. It's
why?
2022.
Like, why? And I was of the same opinion even in 2012 and even in 2002. Yeah. As a child, I've never put up with any nonsense with anybody. And that's why most of the times I was called as a snob in my school and college. They said, oh, she's snobbish. And I said, good, that way anyone cannot just come and talk to me. You got to have that standard to talk to me and that works with me, because I wouldn't take rubbish from anybody. So women, you guys, you really don't know what you can become and what you can create and how you can impact. Because when I became a coach, not just me and my life got impacted, everybody around me got impacted. And that's the power you have as a woman. When you become a speaker, or when you become a coach, or when you become a successful person, forget just speaking and coaching. Right? You are going to create generations of impact, not just one or two. So I think they're underutilizing themselves a lot. And there's a lot of dependency on circumstances, people, society, culture, that has to just stop immediately. Stop.
Yeah, as there is a saying that if a man is educated, a man is educated.
Man is educated.
A woman is educated, whole family is educated. So,
Yes.
so I'm sure if any woman is listening this or reading this, they will surely get inspired with your thoughts. And that comes to end of our interview. And it was really nice to have you here and listening to you and your thoughts. And I wish you all the very best for your future. Whatever is your dreams will be fulfilled and you impact many lives so that people come out of their limited beliefs and they live their life to the fullest.
Sure. Thank you, Minu. And if people want to ever find me, then they can just Google me and they can just put a quote next to my name and they'll find me. But other than that, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, Minu. It was really a pleasure. It was a great chat. And I really, really believe that, especially women, they need to pull up their socks, shoes, everything. They're not utilizing themselves to the fullest, regardless of whatever external circumstances are. The number one thing is will. You need to take one decision to move on, and that's missing. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Mumtaz. Thank you so much for the wonderful interview.